Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday live stream. We got a lot of things to cover, which you can see right here. And we're going to talk about a lot of different subjects today. And the big thing I think we should be talking about is this massive upside, which is what the title and thumbnail suggest. And as we've gone forward, we've taken a look at a lot of different indicators. And if you're looking for like specific indicators that I'm going to use to sell out 50 to 80% of all my crypto, there's two videos in the description of titles of I'm selling, why and when, 80%. Another one called stress-free profits. But one of the indicators we talk a lot about is the MVRV-Z score. And the MVRV-Z score, I think, is one of those indicators that really shows that we have some pretty massive upside. Now, there's a lot of people out there that will say, you know what, indicators are this, and we can always make a case for or against, but it's a good idea to take a look at where we've been to see where we're going. And if you want to get a great price prediction, this is one from Arthur Hayes. And he comes out and says that he thinks that Bitcoin will be $250,000 for 2025, which will be, of course, this year. Hayes isn't on board with the super bullish 1 million calls, but he says, he goes, I think it'll happen before the end of 2028. I don't think it'll happen this year, as he was talking about the Bitcoin price. Now, as you know, on this channel, I'm not a huge fan of Bitcoin price predictions or any price predictions. And if you ask me what my price prediction is, I'll give you the same thing. Bitcoin will be somewhere between $5 and $500,000 this year. And I love these snippets of information because people will pick up on this and they'll be like, oh, Arthur Hayes says 250,000 and that's it. You have to remember, indicators, price predictions, trading, leverage, different stuff that's going on, nobody really knows where it is. Some are making fabulous educated guesses and some are not. And what people won't tell you is Arthur Hayes doesn't care when his Bitcoin predictions are totally wrong, which most of them have been. And I love this article. I linked in the description, I believe. And he just says, he's like, yeah, most of my predictions are totally wrong. And he says, but he still thinks 250,000 by the end. He could also be 100% wrong. And he goes on to just pretty much say like, hey, it's just a prediction. That's what it is. And that's what we're talking about today. MVRV-Z scores, it's just a prediction. Could we have topped out? Yeah, possibly. But I just think that we have a ways to go. First of all, I'm using Ben's website. Fantastic. There's a link in the description. You can check it out. What's great about it, he tells you what these different indicators are and what these charts are. And he even puts a video together for people like myself who don't really get it. So it's a pretty good resource. But MVRV-Z score is the market cap minus realized cap. Then there's a divided by standard deviation. Z-score has been a good tool to identify where market values move highly above or below realized value. In the case for Bitcoin, for example, buying during the Z-score of less than 0 has been a pretty damn good choice. And we can see over here, and this is why I think everybody should be looking at these indicators, because times before 0, I don't know if you remember, let's see, what is this? 12th of November, 2022. Does anybody remember what the price of Bitcoin was at that point? I think it was, I want to say 17,600, somewhere around there. I think that was like one of the lowest points as far as Bitcoin price. And then, of course, let's see over here. One is below 0. Does anybody remember what it was on December 2018? I think that was another bottom. And then so on and so forth. So these are like the good times to buy. But what about the selling round? We don't care about that. We've been doing our job. You've been doing your job. You've been accumulating through the bear market, not listening to your friends and family who told you that you were a complete moron as you see Bitcoin go into 6 figures. But the question is how much farther we have to go. And I think this is a pretty good place to start. So for the Z-cap, MVRV-Z score, you see how it's just a trend. I wish I could draw it here, but I can't. But you're going to see here in December 2017, I don't know if you guys remember the price of Bitcoin back then. It was around $19,660, somewhere around there. And it topped out at the MVRV-Z score of around 10. Actually, I think it was like 10.2. And then, of course, we go back to 2013, when it was like around $1,000. It topped out at almost 12. So you go from 12 to 10. And there was one over here. Didn't really hit it perfectly. But at the end of February 2021, and the score was around 7. So you go from 10 to 7, drop of about 3. We can come over here. We haven't even gotten there. The last MVRV-Z scores, there was 2. 12th of March, which is like roughly 3 weeks or so before the all-time high. It wasn't even 3. And then over here, you had 3.17, December 2024. Oh, excuse me, 3.35. So there's still, if you just take a look at this indicator, there's still some upside. I still think 2025 is going to be pretty big, but we'll see where it all comes out. I just see that these types of indicators can kind of give us to where we think we're going to go. And let me know what you think about that in the comment section. That was just a little quick hopium for everybody. Now let's get into the news. Genius Act. So this was passed yesterday by the Senate. Amazing ability. Now, Elizabeth Warren was trying to block everything, saying that this was going to be a horrendous bill and that she was worried that every Tom, Dick, and Harry corporation is going to issue their whole stablecoin. We talked about how if she would have read the bill, she would have known that was not going to happen whatsoever. But she gets out there, tries to block things, and it fails. Great. So here is the Genius Act summarized. And shout out to a guy over at Coin Bureau for, he actually put this to my attention. This is from Bitcoin Laws. So the question is, who can issue stablecoins? Insured depository, federal qualified issuer, or state qualified issuer. And it's really going to come down to financial organizations. It's not going to be like you're going to have like Bitcoin, or you're going to have like a Burger King coin, and that's what you're going to use for Shipley Donuts coin or something like that. It can't be usually through corporations. Mostly it's going to be through the financial industries. Qualifications, able to meet reserve requirements. You got to back things 1-to-1. This isn't going to be some type of logarithmic stable coin, say like for Luna. Previous felony offenses, it's going to get you out. Competence, experience, and integrity of officers, I guess we'll see how that works out. Reserves, 1-to-1 backing. Redemptions, clear procedures, preemptive federal licensing. Custody, reserves plus private keys must be held by the FDIC NCUA bank. That's interesting. The private keys have to be held by not the issuer. It has to be held by the FDIC NCUA bank. OCC chartered trust bank or other federally supervised custodian. No, I take that back. It will have to be held by that. Interesting. And then lastly, and this I think is a big one, issuers and custodians must be able to freeze tokens on lawful orders. So if you think that they can't freeze it, it's not going to happen. Treasury may block non-compliant foreign stablecoins, but it also looks like the Treasury could block bad actors or people who don't follow the rules. So this was given a little bit of traction. And people say, well, that's odd because, then we could get away with all these other stable coins that are outside the United States, such as like Tether or USDC. I don't think it really is going to matter. I see that it doesn't matter if it's USDC, which is a American-based company. You will still have all the banks and all the corporations, all the banks and financial institutions doing these types of stable coins. However, if people think that, well, that can't happen because, we can't freeze those. That's the whole beauty of blockchain. That's the beauty of Bitcoin. There's a big difference between Bitcoin and stable coins. Tether blocks 12.3 million in USDT tied to suspicious Tron addresses. And again, Tether is by market cap number 3. I want to say $150, $160 billion right behind Ethereum and Bitcoin. And they're able to freeze it whenever they want to. Some people say this is bad. Some people say this is actually good because of KYC and AML and anti-money laundering and stuff like that. But it is what it is. And you have to be aware of this is what could happen when you put things into stable coins. Tether froze over 12.3 million digital assets on the Tron network. Why is Tron network such a big thing? Well, it is the lion's share of all the transactions that are being done, or at least TVL, on the Tether network. We've talked about this many times. Continuing its clampdown on illicit activity. Tether has not issued a public statement. I wouldn't either. The freeze may stem from concerns over potential sanction violations or AML risks. Tether wrote in a March 7th blog, Tether enforces a strict wallet freezing policy to combat money laundering, nuclear proliferations, and terrorist financing, and is also aligned with the OFAC, Specially Designated Nations list. Policy is aligned with the U.S. Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control, or OFAC, sanctions list. Why would they do that? It's obvious, because they believed, as we all believed, that the Genius Act would be passed. And because of that, if they play by the rules, because they're not essentially an American corporation, like say Circle is, which just went public recently, if they do things like that, then they're in the good graces of America. And that's where everybody wants to be as far as finances. So let me just think about that in the comment section. Genius Act summary. And now I want to talk a little bit, because we just talked about Tron. I want to talk about Iran and Tron. This is interesting. This is Marshall Long. Bitcoin class 2010, Bitcoin miner, 10th generation Texan. I like that. Current ops and pleb source founder. Bitcoin miner. And this is very telling of what Bitcoin can and can't do. And this is a guy who's probably a Bitcoin enthusiast, we'll say at the very least. He states, today was a very stressful day. Our electrician is Iranian. His wife and 2 kids went to Tehran 10 days ago to visit family. Nothing wrong there. Unfortunately, almost World War III breaks out. Wrong place, wrong time. They cannot leave. Tomorrow, Tehran is scheduled to shut off the internet. Well, that's got to suck. We were able to get her money through on an in-the-ground broker. We had to send TRC20 USDT. What is TRC20? That is the tether on the Tron rails. Again, this is what globally a lot of people are using. I know, if you're American, you're like, Tron, really? And he says, TRC20, which I have avoided like the plague, but after swapping and defying and sushiing or whatever TF, we finally got our money in hand. And that's the whole thing. You have to get the money in the hand. It doesn't matter if you're like, well, this is sound principles and this is sound money. You got to use Bitcoin. If I can't get to it, it makes me no difference. Stablecoins shine more than Bitcoin in immediate conflicts, I guess. Can someone please explain why Bitcoin couldn't have done this? During conflict, are people that worried about overnight price exposure? Very surreal. I feel like I need to learn a lot more. I think this is a lot of people. And we're sleeping on it. And I've said many times, this is stable coins and the rails that they're built on. That's going to be the big utility case. I know you can fight it all you want to, but it is the way it is. And if you're looking to actually purchase Tron and an American, I would recommend Kraken. And if you sign up, you get $50. The reason I'm talking about Kraken and not Coinbase, I'm an American, so I kind of have limited choices. But as a reminder, like Andreas Antonopoulos says, treat all exchanges like a public bathroom. Go in, do your business, and get out. So if I'm going to tell you to buy things, I'm going to warn you that, hey, and we're going to see why you shouldn't leave things on exchanges in the next story. Me personally, I use Kraken, but I got TANGEM, Ledger, and custody services. And I want to start talking a little bit more about Kraken. And even the CEO, or I guess the former CEO, Jesse Powell, even he says, don't store crypto on any exchange. And he was the CEO of Kraken. I can get behind that. I like that. So I'm going to be putting out a little information about Kraken in the next couple of days or so. But it's looking good, I got to tell you, especially compared to Coinbase and what they're doing. And this new thing that came out for airdrops is pretty cool. Anyhow, we'll get to that. But we got to finish up here. And that video will Kraken will be later. So 2 things about leaving things on exchanges. Israeli-linked hacker group Predatory Sparrow wiped out 95% on assets on Iran's Novatex crypto exchange. It was reportedly used by Tehran to evade sanctions through crypto, while balances plunged from 1.8 billion to just 100 million. Well, that sucks for them. But remember, if you leave things on exchanges, what did Antonopoulos say? And then on top of that, well, it was Israeli-linked hackers. But on top of that, this was interesting. It's not just about the exchanges, but even the banks. And we just talked about stablecoins on the banks. This is from Bitcoin News. I want to have you watch this. Let me get here. I want to make sure you can hear this perfectly. What just happened was that hackers were able to shut down the largest bank in Iran. And this is what's happening.
Iran's biggest bank just got destroyed in a cyber attack. No ATMs, no online banking, no cash. SEPA Bank. The financial spine of Iran's military is now frozen. Branches are shuttered and customers cannot even check their balances. A hacker group called Predatory Sparrow claimed responsibility. And they didn't just breach the system. They say they wiped every financial record. This came just days after Israel's intelligence chief warned, "We will soon break through in other areas as well." This is personal. SEPA Bank has long funded Iran's military operations and missile program. Panic is already spreading as Trump posts that everyone in Tehran should evacuate immediately. This is exactly why we Bitcoin. Because when the system fails, your money goes with it, unless it's outside of their reach. The Bitcoin ledger, it's not in one place. It's spread across tens of thousands of independent nodes around the world. To erase Bitcoin, you'd have to shut down the entire planet.
It's great, right? Sounds pretty good. But again, just like the story we just took a look at beforehand, when we talked about Tron and the rails that it's built on, I think there has to be a little bit more adoption to go from there. But he's right. It's very true. It's 100% true. This is why we Bitcoin. This is why we get into things. And this is where we're going. So let me know what you think about that in the comments section. And then to finish up, Solana, ONDO team up. This is a good one. I'm not going to, it's just a real quick snippet. Solana Foundation, BitKit Wallet join ONDO Finances Market Alliance. And what they're doing is because they want to get into RWAs or real world assets. So to do that, you need a lot of firepower. And for that to happen, I always thought this would actually go through because you can't do it alone. You got to have your buddies. This was a post from ONDO Finance. Today we're announcing the Global Market Alliance, a historic alliance of leading wallets, exchanges, and custodians to bring capital markets on-chain and set standards for the interoperability of on-chain stocks. The alliance includes Solana, BitKit, Jupiter, the decentralized exchange for Solana, Trust Wallet, Rainbow to me, BitGo, Fireblocks, 1inch, and other DEX, and Alpaca HQ. More to come. And I got to tell you, this I think is the future. So congratulations for all the big team up. ONDO is also backed, I believe, by BlackRock. And of course, Solana Foundation needs no introduction. So we'll see where it all goes. And that will tidy up that. And then lastly, the CME. So Jerome Powell is supposed to come out in the next, I don't know, it's supposed to be released in the next 5 minutes or so. Hopefully we can get information. But the current target rate is 425 to 450. And according to the Fed Watch, it's a 99.99% chance he will not be cutting. But hey, who knows? We'll see where it comes from there. But as we get that information, if somebody could let me know in the comment section, we'll see if he actually does cut. I sincerely doubt it, but we'll see. But that's it for today. So look, we'll do a little Q&A, but if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. We talk about is time sensitive. Now we'll do Q&A, answer your questions, and we'll go from there. Let's see. Are we going to watch the Fed? You know who's got a really good channel who can do this is Tom Crown. He always does a good job of covering this stuff. Maybe we'll just go over to his channel. Let's see. Chris says, I keep trying to warn you all that Tron is similar to Terra Luna. Yeah, maybe. I mean, there's an algorithmic, but as far as stable coins, do they have a stable coin or are they the rails for Tether? And that is a one-to-one backed stable coin. It's a vastly different than Luna and what they did. But, you know, it could be. I'm not the one to sit here and die on the hill and say Tron's the best thing of all time. I'm just saying everybody has to use it, it seems like, when they're using Tether. And it's not me talking about that. You can take a look at TVL over at DeFi Llama. We did a whole video on that last week. Yeah, we'll see. Rob needs more subs. Mark, I appreciate that. But I got to tell you, I would just appreciate everybody else just sticking around. I don't need a bunch of tourists. I don't need a bunch of people calling me Dan and then asking me the most ridiculous questions. Let's just keep it amongst ourselves, and then we can ride this to Valhalla, sell some crypto a little bit, live the magical lifestyle. I don't need a bunch of more subscribers. That's very nice. But the more people that I get, the more headaches I get. I like you people. Let's see. USDM on Cardano. Well, I mean, Charles Hoskinson wants to push the stablecoin narrative. Also, he wants to use $100 million that's in the Cardano Foundation treasury to buy Bitcoin. I have to applaud that. How great is that? Then, the Bitcoin maxis be like, well, maybe we don't hate Cardano so much, and go from there. James, I think I hear Near now has the most monthly use, and I think stables are big on Near. That's what the era narrative. It could be a strong move. As far as like monthly users, they have a couple of different super apps. And I think if we can find that, no. I don't know if it's in DeFi Llama or something else. But there's like these two apps that's they're global apps, and essentially they're running the most traffic out of all the different chains. But again, it's an app that you can use Near with. And one of it is it's a retail app for you to buy and sell different clothings and stores and items and stuff like that. But Near is good. Near is great. Hopefully it does better because I've got a big fat bag of it, but we'll see. All right. For dear old Dan. Thanks, Jen. Agreed. But we were promised tourists. Oh, you'll get them. You'll get tourists. They're coming. Trust me. Bought shares in SRM at 9:30 a.m. It shot up like, oh, shoot. We just talked about that yesterday. So this ought to be good. Good for you, man. SRM. This was a story we covered yesterday. The Eric and Donald Trump Jr. bringing Tron public through a reverse IPO. SRM launches Tron Treasury. Let's see. So the ticker is SRM. Let's see if we can find that. SRM Entertainment. Well, it started at, well, this was, of course, you're talking about 9:30. It did take off like a rocket. Went from 7:04 to 8:10. Not a bad day, right? And then right now it's at 7.5, so it's a little bit down. But yeah, that'll be the new treasury. Again, don't sleep on Tron. I think it'll do big things, not because it's awesome. It's just because it's not about what you know, it's who you know. And Justin Sun knows both of Donald Trump's sons. So let's go there. All right, Rob, just want to make sure you knew that the Daedalus wallet will not have the midnight airdrop. I think you misread my Monday post. Oh, that's a shame. Well, that's okay because not so many people use Daedalus. I'm going to recommend Lace. That's a pretty great wallet. And then go from there. Yeah. There we are. Hey, Dan, is that a green screen? Gratuitous, dumb question. Yeah, I can't wait to get the bunch of those. Hey, Nick. By the way, I know your name is Rob. That's good enough. I'll take it. Tourist is anagram for exit liquidity. True. Let's see. Oh, my God. I can't believe it. Breaking the Federal Reserve lead interest rate unchanged. Remains at 4.25 to 4.5. Wow. Shocker. Well, nothing else to do now but just, I don't know, just slowly accumulate crypto in the background. I got to tell you, Kraken, I've been having a pretty great time with that. Did you know that on the Kraken, the reason why I stopped using Kraken is because I couldn't connect to it with my bank. But now with this new integration, seamless. Also, you can buy stocks and ETFs on it. It's pretty good. And then when they just released airdrops. So, I mean, all you got to do is use the platform. Well, it's called Kraken Plus, I should say. There's a program called Coinbase One. It's roughly around 19 or 30 bucks a month. Correct me in the comments, somewhere around there. And it gives you no fees up to $10,000 in transactions. Kraken does the same thing, but it's $5 a month. And with that, you get a whole bunch of perks. So I'm just going to keep riding that train. I've used Coinbase for quite some time. I'm still not too happy with them and them leaking all my information and your information to hackers who have your address and know how much crypto you have. Not great. So, yeah, that's it. Jupiter says, I see 2 more cuts this year. Circle. Yeah. I think that's it. I think we're good. Anyhow, everybody, just real quick, let me know if you like the breakdown summary on the right side. That's something you'd like to see more of, just to kind of give you like a general overview or not. But that's it for this one. So look, I appreciate you guys showing up. I do. Thanks so much for stopping by. Like today's video, like and subscribe. But that's it for this one. Get out of here. There's a lot more things more important to do than just crypto. Anyhow, I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.